Downtown Los Angeles is surrounded by towering skyscrapers and striking landmarks. It's easy to forget that this modern metropolis once held a distinct enclave unlike any other. This neighborhood was adorned with grand Queen Anne mansions, accented by Beaux Arts and Mission Revival architecture. It boasted colossal hotels such as the Fremont, the Northern, and the Belmont, offering breathtaking views of the city below. Remarkably, a funicular railway once carried weary residents from the base of the hill to its summit. But did you know there was actually two railways? Today on Tidbits of History, Angel's Flight, and the sister station Time Forgot. The story begins in 1867, when two affluent developers, Prudent Beaudry, a French-Canadian immigrant, and Stephen Mott, acquired most of the land on a hill. Recognizing its commanding views of the Los Angeles Basin and the Los Angeles River, they saw its potential as the site for an upscale residential enclave. Beaudry transformed the summit of Bunker Hill into an exclusive enclave of elegant two-story Victorian homes, which soon gained a reputation as residences for Los Angeles upper class. The neighborhood's architectural identity was defined by the ornate Queen Anne and Eastlake styles. Thanks to the hill's elevated geography, residents enjoyed a peaceful retreat above the increasingly growing city spreading across the flatlands below. In 1874, Judge Robert M. Whitney, founder of the University of Southern California, played a key role in improving transportation to Bunker Hill by helping introduce the neighborhood's first horse-drawn carriage service. This early effort to ease the steep climb paved the way for an even more innovative solution. In 1901, Colonel J.W. Eddy petitioned the Los Angeles City Council to approve an electric cable railway. The funicular system would feature two counterbalanced cars running on parallel tracks, carrying passengers up and down a steep incline between 3rd and Hill Streets and Bunker Hill, where Eddy resided. Upon receiving approval, Eddy began construction in August, and by December 31, 1901, Angel's Flight was operational. The entire project was funded by Eddy himself. On its first day of operation, Angel's Flight carried 2,000 people up and down a 33% incline, at a cost of 1 cent in each direction. While the exclusive community of Bunker Hill continued to attract wealthy residents, on September 24, 1904, the Observation Tower Company opened Court Flight, primarily as a tourist attraction. The Court Flight Incline Railroad was just a few blocks to the north of Angel's Flight. The funicular was slightly different from that of its older sister. Angel's Flight relied on a 3-rail system where both cars shared a center track, splitting at the midpoint to avoid collision. Court Flight, on the other hand, operated by using a 4-rail system where each car rode on its own separate track. Both funiculars used the same principle of counterbalance to travel up and down the hill. Also, both funiculars had observation towers at their summit. For a few cents, passengers could walk up to the top of the towers and take in the breathtaking views of downtown Los Angeles and surrounding areas. For nearly 38 years, Court Flight ferried passengers up and down Bunker Hill. Eventually, the wealthy residents moved on to neighborhoods such as Pasadena and Beverly Hill due to the increasing growth of downtown Los Angeles. Some of the Victorian homes were converted into boarding houses, others were torn down and replaced by apartment buildings. During World War II, Court Flight struggled with ridership woes, fuel shortages, and a lack of engineers in the job market. For the last few years of its existence, the railway was operating at a loss. On October 20, 1943, a discarded cigarette ignited a fire that shot up the hillside. The overgrown weeds and leaves covering the neglected tracks fueled the blaze, and when it was all over, fire had destroyed all that was left of Court Flight. Meanwhile, Angel's Flight continued to transport passengers up and down Bunker Hill. By the 1950s, the community of Bunker Hill was increasingly becoming home for impoverished pensioners. In 1955, Los Angeles city planners decided that Bunker Hill required a massive slum clearance project. The Federal Housing Act of 1949 created the Community Redevelopment Agency, and also the Bunker Hill Urban Renewal Project in 1959. Demolition began in the early 1960s. The land was cleared and sold to private and public development companies. The demolition of Bunker Hill displaced some 22,000 residents. On May 18, 1969, Angel's Flight was finally closed, dismantled, and put into storage for 27 years. In its 68 years of service, Angel's Flight carried over 100 million passengers up and down Bunker Hill. By 1996, Angel's Flight was reinstalled just 300 feet south of its original location. Though Court Flight vanished into history, a victim of fire and forgotten progress, Angel's Flight endures. It's a symbol of a bygone era, a relic of old Los Angeles that has managed to survive the rise and fall of the city around it. What was once a daily ride for the wealthy elite and ordinary people alike now carries tourists and locals on a nostalgic journey. Just 298 feet long, but over a century deep. As the little orange cars climb and descend Bunker Hill, they remind us that even in a city obsessed with the future, the past still has a track to run on. If you enjoyed this ride through history, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.